Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, May the 12th. It is 1 p.m., sort of. Welcome. We are joined for a public lands update. I have one administrative update before we start. To the public on May 13th, item number 6, which is a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners overruling the Planning and Zoning Commission of Pitkin County, Colorado. Item number 6 will be moved to item number 14. So the airport will be heard last tomorrow after the land use items. So thank you for that administrative update. The table's all yours.
Great.
Do you want me to do quick introductions?
I'll definitely do a quick introduction because you have a whole sea of green here.
Yeah.
I'm Gary Tennenbaum. I'm the director of Pitkin County Open Space and Trails, and I am pleased to be joined by a ton of Forest Service folks. I'll let them introduce themselves, starting with...
Good afternoon. I'm Brent Davidson. I'm the acting district ranger on the Aspen-Sopris Ranger District, and normally I am the deputy fire staff officer on the White River National Forest.
Excellent.
Hi, good to see everyone. I'm Brian Glasswell. I'm the forest supervisor on the White River.
Hi, I'm Kendra Head, the Developed Dispersed Recreation Manager here on the Forest, White River.
Hello, I'm Sam Massman, the White River National Forest Recreation Program Manager.
Right. And behind us, we have a few. We have Roger Poirier, if you want to...
Good afternoon, Roger Poirier, Recreation Staff Officer, based out of Glenwood Springs.
Oh, you have to do it in the mic.
Good afternoon, Roger Poirier, Recreation Staff Officer for the White River National Forest.
Thank you.
And I want to introduce you to Olivia.
Hi, I'm Olivia Niosi. I'm the Maroon Bells Facilities and Operations Supervisor. I'm a Pitkin County employee filling a position for the Forest Service this summer.
And she used to be our seasonal ranger, so pretty cool.
Is it seasonal?
What? No, that's a full-time position. And so today we're here to give you a public lands update, kind of give you a little bit of an agenda. The forest will give a public lands update for the summer of 2026. Then we'll talk about the Maroon Bells Scenic Area Management currently, and then the big thing we're going to discuss today is Pickens County exploring a special use permit and then the process for that. So right now, I just want to say that we've been really fortunate with the folks that are still here with the forest, have been an incredible partnership. And this, obviously, we're going to be talking about a much bigger expanded partnership. But I hope the goal of this meeting is it's all positive. It's all really, I'm very excited about this partnership because, you take what's happening in the federal government today and everything, and you go, as a community, we can do this together. And they appreciate it, but we also appreciate it because no one really understands public lands. They don't get the boundaries. It's seamless. Seamless management is critically important. So with that, we'll talk about what's happening this year on the forest. And I don't know which one.
Sure, I can.
You're good.
You're good.
Should be red.
Red lights on.
It's red. All right. I can start things off, and thanks everyone for having us here today. You can see we came in force, and if it looks like a pickle soup brigade here, that's intentional. This is really important to us. Our partnership and the potential of continued and deeper co-management at the Maroon Bells Scenic Area, really important to us. We wanted to show you, and so we're here. Folks traveled from all over the forest. Sam is duty stationed in Dillon. He had a multi-hour drive to get to Glenwood, where he picked me up, and then we had a longer drive to get to here. So just want to tell you this is important to us, and that's why we have a big crew here today.
Well, welcome to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to tag team this, and I'm not going to do much of the talking. I can start off by sharing a few things that I have in the past with most of you regarding our kind of seasonal outlook and all the rest. Despite what you may hear in other places, we're in pretty good shape. We got some authority this year to hire seasonal employees through our traditional federal process, and we hired, not exactly sure the total number, but 25-ish. Via that mechanism. We have another 40 or so interns that we hired through Rocky Mountain Youth Corps and other mechanisms. And so we're at about 2/3 or a little better of our normal seasonal staffing capacity. And permanent staff-wise, we are where we are, but we're doing pretty well and better than most. We'll step it down now and talk a little bit more about where we're at, specifically on the Aspen-Sopris district. One other thing I'll say is Brent is acting ranger right now. We have one really critical vacancy on the forest, and that is the permanent district ranger on the Aspen-Sopris district. So Jennifer Schuler has been acting in that role for since Kevin came over to your team, and she had an accident recently and is working her way through that recovery. Brent has stepped in and is going to do this as long as I can keep him convinced to do it. But he's a really excellent guy to be doing this because his day job, as he mentioned, is functionally as our forest fire management officer. We have this combined operation with the BLM Upper Colorado River unit. So our lead fire management officer is actually a BLM employee, now a Wildland Fire Service employee, but Brent's our forest guy. And so as we get into the discussion about wildfire season preparations and staffing and work that we've done on that front, we have the best person to speak to that. So I'm going to stop talking and hand it off to Kendra.
I'll follow some of the information that he shared. Here on the Aspen-Sopris, it definitely has been a more promising year for us to hire staff. We were given the opportunity, as you mentioned, to hire the Forest Service seasonals as well as Rocky Mountain Youth Corps interns. I was personally able to hire 4 seasonals in my program area, which is amazing. I'm so grateful for that opportunity, as well as across all of our programs. We have hired 11 Rocky Mountain Youth Corps interns, which is a lot more than we had last year. So although we are not fully staffed, we have more boots on the ground this year than we did last year. Also, you all have been very gracious in funding our dispersed crew for a number of years. This year, you are funding one of our dispersed crew members, along with, we have 2 additional dispersed crew members, where we have the Colorado Springs Utility Agreement funding one of those, and then one of our Forest Service seasonals will be working on as a dispersed crew as well. With the increased awareness of the fire danger this year, the teams will focus on fire prevention. And along with also the funding that you have provided, you funded 2 of our winter winter volunteers for their housing. I called Gary and asked him, and he graciously provided some funds for 2 volunteers to live in our bunkhouse, so we could have 3 winter volunteers, boots on the ground this winter. We were able to make 897 contacts this winter, with about 14 as an average each day. We were making 14 contacts each day. Strangely enough, 57% of our contacts were made with people hiking and snowshoeing instead of people on snowmobiles and skis. It was just obviously a lot different year. So a little bit different contacts this year than we've made in the past. And we were able to pull out 92 pounds of garbage. And honestly, we just can't thank you enough for everything that you have done for our program. The dispersed program in particular wouldn't be in existence without your assistance. So I just want to truly thank you for your funds that has helped us with that. And of course, also, I can't forget your amazing contribution to allowing us to hire Olivia. She is amazing. So.
But we're really lucky to be in a position to do it, you know.
Thank you.
Wildfire season.
Well, hot topic right now just because of the winter and maybe compounded with the last year as well and the light rains of last year. So preparations, the end of March into about the middle of May is when a lot of the preseason preparation happens for all the wildfire, for all the cooperating agencies and, the UCR and the Forest Service and everything. So we did do, believe 9 annual operating plan meetings with all the adjoining counties that are in the area and do the pre-season meetings with all of those folks just so that we're all talking about how we're going to operate and any changes we need to make to those plans. We did get all those done last month, and that's a big bulk of our preseason workload and coordination efforts there. Some other things that have been happening over the last couple years, I believe it's called IA for Cooperators, where we work with cooperators, local fire districts, all kinds of different entities, and just discuss how initial attack operations will work and the best way to communicate to get resources that are needed, when we can order the Type 3 incident management team, things like that. So a ton of preparation has been going on this year. Not much different than previous years, maybe stepped up a little bit in our conversations about timing of when fire season may actually kick off. Thankfully, we had a couple good weeks of rain and snow here recently, which helped for sure to delay and maybe kind of ease some of that immediate threat of fire season kicking off too soon. So a ton of preparation. Feel very prepared on the Upper Colorado River Interagency Fire Management Unit, the UCR. That's the BLM, or now the Wildland Fire Service, and the Forest Service. We have 9 engines, 2 wildland fire modules, Type 3 helicopter, and a Type 1 helicopter. So the normal complement of resources, along with just our various overhead. The incident management team that we put together, the Type 3 Interagency Incident Management Team, they've had their annual meeting and they're ready to go in case anything happens. Of note, the air tanker base in Grand Junction has been under construction to have better capacity and kind of modernize. That construction's still taking place, but it should be wrapped up here in the next couple weeks and fully functional for the season. So that's a pretty big improvement to some of the capacity for a retardant base and for fixed wing aerial resources to work out of. So that's pretty exciting. Moving in a little bit into fire restrictions and the outlook and some of the process there. We've already sent out I'll step back. We do fire restrictions coordination with all of the surrounding, partners and agencies. We've already started sending out some of the fire restrictions emails with data for everybody to look out to know where we're at based on the science and fuel moistures that we're collecting. And so that's underway right now, and we'll continue that like we have over the last few years, working with partners to give the public the same messaging and work to implement restrictions across different agencies and jurisdictions as much as possible to avoid any confusion and help people know what those levels of restriction are. So a lot underway right now, and we'll be prepared whenever fire season does kick off this year.
Thank you.
You guys have any questions on that?
I think I do.
Yeah.
I think-
Francie, and then I'll jump in.
Given the prognosis for dry fuels everywhere, I'm just wondering why you don't go into restrictions earlier. Like, why do we have campfires at all this summer? It seems like it would be that difficult to just say we're going into stage 2 or whatever, you know.
Right. So we follow a process that really it's scientifically based as much as possible. There's other factors that weigh into it, but we really want to follow the science of when we actually have a fire danger that's elevated enough to where we need to be concerned about escaped campfires and things like that. So we pay attention to both live and dead fuel moistures as our primary tools to, along with the weather and the predicted weather, to make the decisions on when we should have a restriction. Green up also affects pre-green up, and then green up also affects the fire danger ratings. And so we try to follow those, the scientifically based processes so that we're having a consistent process for the public to understand and follow as well. And so we're doing it not just on a whim, but based on, criteria that are really important for, higher fire danger.
Yeah, I get that. It just seems like there's a discrepancy between waiting until all the numbers match up perfectly and the kind of warnings that are going out all the time. And it just seems like they're not quite matching. Like, this is going to be the worst year ever. This is the worst drought we've ever had, the least snow, all these things. And then, we're waiting until it gets really bad,
Yeah, I think there's a human factor to some of this too. If you have a level of restriction when it's green and there's still snow on the peaks and there's not a real immediate threat of fire, people are not really going to pay attention to it as much. And the timing of when we implement fire restrictions is important too, so that we don't have, that the public is aware of when and why, and it's something that's very evident, and it's not something that just drags on, and it's, it loses its meaning and value and enforcement as well.
Okay, yeah, I get that. Thank you.
I guess more of a public-facing question. So everyone's now tuned into Duty Watch and Reach Well. What else should we be subscribing to? What else can we do to sort of stay alert?
Nothing else. No. No. Watch Duty is a quick.
Sorry, Watch Duty.
Quick.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a very quick information source for wildfire, and it's based off of our. It's linked to the internal notification system that we have for reporting fires. So it's direct information. So, I think there is some human component to it too that may need to kind of filter out, but I think that's a good one. I am certainly not up to speed with all of them that are out there, but I know that one pretty well, and it does provide pretty accurate and timely information. So that's a good source.
Thank you. And do you have access immediately to the additional air support that was brought on by DFPC?
So any aircraft that's needed just follows the ordering system, and if it's available, it should come to us. So or any cooperating energy agency, anybody that needs aircraft, if it's available and there's not a restriction because of wind or anything like that, it should all be available in the system. So,
We were excited about the Firehawk in Montrose.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, thank you.
Can I just jump in real quick? I was going to share this with the board later, but since everyone's here. I just recently returned from a conference and was able to tour a national park on Maui. And I met specifically with the ranger. Thank Gary for the information I was able to bring with me about their crew, their their year-round employees, what they're doing. I know it's a national park, different from what we have here, say, at the Maroon Bells. But it was very interesting, and just to give you, I'm setting him up for his next topic here, but their focus was on having the ability to collect revenues because of revenue losses with nobody who was authorized to collect revenues. So they focused on that. They also had a big focus on volunteers, and they were able to transition their limited staff for people who were able to take over the management of volunteers, because as we know, we rely so heavily on our volunteer public that are amazing here, and they were amazing over there to see all the people that were spending their time at this beautiful place on Maui, but at the volcano. So it was a great to share this information for what we're thinking about doing here and what they're finding they're doing there that's working. So I can talk to Gary in more specifics at another time, but yeah, it was interesting to see that they're facing a lot of the same things we're facing here. So we're not alone in this adventure we're headed on this year, or coming off of last year.
Do have one small go back on Watch Duty and some of the other platforms. Good source of information, but take it for what it's worth, and you're going to get the most accurate information through the agency that's managing the wildfire. So Forest Service, Wildland Fire Service, if it's county land or whatever. So use those with a grain of salt and know that the best information is going to come direct from the agencies and through NCWeb and sources like that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Gary?
Sorry.
Right.
No.
Well, no, the fire thing's a big deal. So thank you, and thanks, Patty, for that. Kind of kicks off to this next piece. And so I'm going to kick it to the Forest Service first to talk about what's coming in 2026 for operations at the Maroon Bells, and then we're going to start to move into the future. So I don't know which one. Kendra.
As I mentioned, the Bell Summer Seasonal Crew, we have 7 this year. 3 of those are our Forest Service seasonals, and 4 are the Rocky Mountain Youth Corps interns. And of course, Olivia, who will be supervising the 7 crew members and lining out projects for all the individuals and learning all things Maroon Bells this year. And I'll try to teach her as much as I possibly can. Right now, the water is operational at the Maroon Bells, not only at the bunker, but we've got it operational at the Queen Camp Host, which means the Queen campsite will also have water this year, which is something that hasn't been operational for 4 or 5 years. So we do have water and electricity up at the Maroon Bells this year, so we're grateful for staff to be able to get that up and running. We are also very grateful for our stakeholder group that has been working together with us on the Bells planning and operations for years. Members of this stakeholder group include, of course, the U.S. Forest Service, Pitkin County, ACRA, Aspen Ski Company, the City of Aspen, RAFTA, and H2O. We couldn't do it without all these amazing people that help us at the Bells. Parking reservations went live on February 15th. Reservations are up. It's going to be a busy summer this year. So, and then, of course, as you all may know, we have an e-bike fee that's going into effect this year. It's going to be $5 per e-bike. It'll be a same fee as motorcycles. And since the Bells runs in the red, we are trying to get closer to break-even point, and this is just one way we can gain a little revenue. We are trying to make the system as simple as possible to get people up there to be paid before they get there. We'll have QR codes on signs as they go up there. There'll be a QR code at the kiosk. There'll even be a QR code at the top where they park their bike if they didn't pay down below. And they will be checking in with the H2O system that H2O will be putting in for us, where people can just scan their QR code if they've already paid, and then they can just continue on in. And so that's going to be new. It's going to be a very interesting season with that. It's going to be a lot of people at the welcome station, so it'll be really interesting to see how that actually operates this year with all the people congregating at the welcome station along with vehicles, et cetera. And then Pitkin County Roads is also going to be painting a bike lane to direct people so they know exactly where they need to go to pay for and check in for their e-bike up the road.
Craig for
Yeah,
Kendra.
regarding the e-bike payments, are any of the rental shops gonna be collecting that in advance so that the renter doesn't have to
Yes.
go through the QR code thing? And
Yep, so they'll have a QR code at the bike shops as well that they can pay right there, so it makes it simple.
and it's not automatically included in their rental bill?
No, it is not there.
Yes, it
It's
couldn't be, because you don't know where they're going. but,
exactly, because everybody's going somewhere different.
Yeah, it'd be nice to take the burden off of you and the entry station.
And I think a lot of it will be taken off with those rentals, since a lot of them are rental bikes.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Is that, and that's a daily fee?
That is a daily fee. We also sell the Maroon Bells annual pass, so you can buy that for $25, and that will also allow you to come in on that pass.
So if you were a resident who e-bikes up there a lot, I'm thinking of friends who've contacted me who, seniors and others, they could get that, that would be the best option.
Yeah, either that or they could have the America the Beautiful pass, but that's $80. So it just depends if you're local and you're only going to be using the Maroon Bells. I would recommend the $25 annual pass. You can purchase those at the window at the welcome station, or you can purchase those in the Carbondale office, or you can purchase those online. Visit maroonbells.com.
That's helpful. And obviously, if you're just pedaling, then no fee.
If you're just pedaling, no fee.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we get into the future of the bells. And so I think, Brian, you wanted to kick this one off?
Yeah, I think we'll Kendra and I'll kind of tag team this a little bit. She's the expert there, as you can clearly see. The bottom line for us is that as Kendra just said, we run in the red there, which means that we collect less fee revenue than it costs to run the site by a significant margin, 300 grand plus, and that's not sustainable for the forest. So we need a better option. The best one is continuing our partnership with you all, and I'll just leave it there, let you do the rest.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the White River National Forest has been subsidized for the subsidizing the bells for years from other programs across the forest, and budgets are tight across the forest, and we need to change management strategies. Deferred maintenance needs have accumulated, and it's difficult to hire staff with the cost of living and various hiring freezes. And you're probably asking, why would you want to take something on that's going to be in the red automatically when you come on? I guess the best thing to say is that it's easier for you all to increase prices than it is for us on the district. The U.S. Forest Service can't easily change fees under the current Recreation Enhancement Act fee. And if you guys were able to manage it, then you will have the opportunity to increase fees. We also have had other ways of increasing revenue, not only the e-bike fee, we've incorporated a no-show fee. 60% of our reservations for the day use permits are reserved through the America the Beautiful Pass, and only 30 to 35% of those individuals show up. So we had to find a way to have them pay for not showing up, because there's many other people that want to visit the Maroon Bells, and so we were trying to find ways like charging a no-show fee to encourage those individuals to show up, or at least cancel their pass to allow somebody else that actually wants to come to the Maroon Bells to visit us.
Is that happening? Are you doing it, or are you contemplating it?
This year, we're actually
You're doing it.
implementing that,
good,
so
I would say,
it'll be
yeah.
a good revenue, somewhat of a revenue source for us.
Okay. Do you have an expectation of what that could raise revenue-wise? Well, I think the bicycles are gonna raise maybe 40 or 50,000 perhaps. Drop in the bucket compared to a $300,000 gap. It sounds like the no-show fee is probably gonna be another 5-figure number, not a high one. So I'm just wondering, what else is on. And I'm supportive, I have to say, I'm very supportive of it. I think this is an asset we have to take care of, and we'll look for the best solutions we can. But just wondering if that's being implemented, but do you have an idea of what it would raise?
I don't remember the budget number we had attached to that.
It's not significant, could we say that, or?
Yeah.
Well, I think, we'd hope for two things, and I can't quite get the math in my head of 70%, 30% of our visitors are that way, and then 70% of those are not showing up. So it's a lot of people, you know, and so hopefully the no-show fee would encourage them to actually show up and use their slot. But in addition, based on our experience over the last few years of this high percentage of people not showing up, we can oversell our existing reservations, and we can kind of calibrate that in real time to try and fill the parking lots and maximize the number of tickets that we actually do sell. So it kind of depends if it works to get people to show up versus we just resell to those vacant spots as much as we can.
Okay.
It won't,
Makes
it
plausible.
won't get us alone up to you know, a break even, but it will help.
So we are considering several management structures to generate sufficient revenue and ensure staffing to manage the Maroon Bells moving forward. One of these options is to issue Pickens County a permit to Pickens County, since we have a history of nearly 50 years of partnership with you all. And so we have been discussing the SUP options with Gary and Brian Pettit and staff. And because the road is managed by Pickens County, and it's the only access to the Maroon Bells, and the county already has a SUP in place with us at the Aspen Ranger Station. And another option is if Pickens County is not interested in doing the SUP, the forest will look to advertise and select a private concessionaire by the summer of 2028. This is the model that we currently manage our campgrounds on the forest, across the forest.
Then the big piece is, this is still gonna be national forest land. Yeah, this is, even if we do this special use permit to the county, it's still national forest land, and they have oversight over all of this. So, goes to the next is, the forest is telling you why they would like to do it. Scott, I, and Ryan, and Kara are here as the county saying how we can do it, and that we can do it. We feel pretty confident that, you know, there's gonna be an increase of fees, there's no matter what, there's an increase of fees for a concessionaire or the county, but with an increase of fees, we could become revenue neutral up there and get significant revenue to cover all the costs. And, you know, we wouldn't be stuck into the same seasonal hiring constrictions and all that stuff. We would have everything ready to go at the beginning of the season. And so we'd be up there. Like this year, we were able to get up there earlier, so you have all the water going, you have the electricity going, you have everything going. But there's also this deferred maintenance piece that is significant. I looked at the list, and we're not going to be able to fix it in a year, but the reality is we would be able to do this deferred maintenance, and kind of giving you guys how this permit works. A permit it's a special use permit that allows us to manage the bells. Forest Service approves an operation plan and a fee structure. And then it goes into place, and there is a piece of that, about 18%, that would usually go back to the federal government as revenue. However, we could use that to do deferred maintenance. And we would, since we're a nonprofit, we're not looking to profit on the management of the bells, we would use all of that for deferred maintenance. So if it's $300,000, we'll plan for $300,000 worth of deferred maintenance. If it's more, everything that we get from the bells goes back into the bells. And that's gets to my next big piece of the puzzle is the county's not alone in this. You know, yes, you have Scott, me, Ryan, we have our finance team has to manage this permit, but we have a community here. And I've talked to a ton of the community. Part of the community has been part of the management for the last 50 years. I see some RAFTA people behind me, and RAFTA has been a huge partner in alleviating one of the big issues is trying to get a shuttle system up there so we can get people up there with not everyone having to drive there. And so in the future, RAFTA is a huge partner. We have a concessionaire currently that works with RAFTA that also does the entrance station. H2O, we can continue that partnership. The city of Aspen is a huge partner here. We have the Forest Conservancy. They've been doing volunteer work, and if Marcia was here, the reason why they were created was to fill gaps in the forest to be able to give information to people showing up at the Maroon Bells and to make them responsible users of our national forest. Big partnership there. ACES does naturalists up there. They're a partner. And ACRA is a huge partner in how we market and explain to the visitors and people that are coming in about what the Maroon Bells is. And then you also have the Aspen Ski Company. And the Aspen Ski Company is a big partner. Obviously, they manage Highlands, where most of the use comes out of. And so all of these partners, I envision this, we envision this as it's a village. It's going to take a village to manage this place, and it's going to be a community-managed area. And that's why I believe that the county is the best solution for this. The permit term is 5 years with an option to renew for 5 years. I know a lot of people are talking about like, oh, the Forest Service is getting cut. But one day, maybe, they'll magically get some money and they'll be able to do this. Well, if the county does this, we can give it back. If in 5, 10 years, even 15 years, if you can see a big change in public management and the funding of that, we can do that. Plus, with the county, the Forest Service is always going to be a partner with us up there. It's not like the forest is not going to be there. They will be there. Any big capital projects will be done by the forest. If they have to replace the huge bunker bathrooms, that'll be a Forest Service capital improvement project. It's not going to be on the county to do that. We got to maintain the structure, but not replace it. And so, you know, the reality for the Forest Service too is because of our jurisdiction and our role with them and the partnerships, we can get this special use permit through a non-competitive process. And you know, I know at the bottom we'll say it again, but next year it's 50 years of a partnership up at the Bells, 50, and that's huge. I didn't realize it was going on that long. So, you know, I wouldn't be here without the support of Ryan and Kara and Scott and finance and everyone else, because what I want to be clear is, yes, I might be the person speaking the most today, but this is not Pickens County Open Space and Trails. This is Pickens County. Yes, Open Space and Trails has the most experience in recreation management, but we want to kick this off the ground. This is going to be a new enterprise fund for the county where the fee revenue comes in and it goes out to hire the employees or the concessionaire or the contracts or partnerships, and that's the way it's going to operate. And the county will have to restructure to figure out how to manage this all, but it's going to be, Open Space and Trails is still going to do Open Space and Trails stuff. And, you know, everybody else, and this will be its own enterprise fund. So, you know, this is the little piece of the puzzle where, you know, obviously you know all of this. I don't have to explain it to you how special this place is, but imagine this place came up for sale tomorrow. We would do everything in our power to buy it because it is such a special resource. So what the goal, the real reason we're here is to protect the resource. And we want to protect the public safety and the use and enjoyment of that area. And we got to protect it. And with the capacity of the forest right now, is it getting managed to the optimal? No. Can we do that? Yes. And I think we can do it with all our partners. And so with that, you know, I'll just give you the proposed timeline, and then we can get into a lot of questions and talk about it. But today, what we're seeking is for you guys to direct Kara to, and the rest of the staff, to pursue this special use permit. And so this summer, we're going to work on an operation plan that details the funding and the fees and everything else, and to cover all the costs. And Pickens County is going to do public engagement. We're going to engage the public this summer to just get the temperature of the public. We've already talked to a ton of partners, but we haven't really talked to the public. You know, in some of our conversations, one of the things that we're really going to work on is making it very clear for the public how they access the bells. It's because, like the question that Ted asked earlier, is we want to make it clear. So if you want to do this at the bells, this is what it costs and this is how you do it. And if you want to do this, it's this and this. And we want to make it really clear to the public on how to do it, how to access it. You know, this year we have, Rafta's doing a flyer from Brush Creek and Buttermilk, and so to Highlands. So we need that information to get out there to people, so if somebody's coming from down valley, maybe stop them at Brush Creek, and they don't have to drive all the way to Highlands. They could if they want to, but they don't have to. There's a flyer that connects them, and at Buttermilk too. And we got to make sure that people know from the city of Aspen. And one of the things that the city of Aspen is talking about is like, we want to make sure all the visitors here know exactly how they can get to the Bells, so they don't have to drive there, or they know that there's a Castle Maroon that takes them there, or we figure out another shuttle system that takes them there, because we want to get all the people that are here up there too. And so all these pieces of the puzzle is one of our goals, is to make it really clear, because it is the community that's managing this. And so, you know, late summer is when it's going to come back to you, and you guys are going to review it. I won't give you just one meeting, I'll give you a couple to do it. So, because it's a big deal. I mean, the fees are going up, and you guys need to understand all of that. But by this fall, we're going to need a final decision on this special use permit, because 2027 comes faster than you think. And if we want to institute all of it and implement this in 2027, we're going to have to include this in our budgets for 2027. And so we'll be coming back to you then. And obviously, it's your choice in the end. I think the community's going to be behind you, and staff is going to be behind you, but it'll be your choice. If you don't choose to do it, the Forest Service will move to the concessionaire option. So with that, I will stop talking, and I am happy to take as many. We're all here for questions and answers, and I think you have about 20 minutes. So,
Patty.
Yeah, I would definitely like it to be a county-issued special use permit. I'd like to keep it in local hands. I think we have better control over the environment and the issues that we know so well, more than well on some days. So that's kind of the direction I'm hoping that we decide to go. My other question is procedural. Does it come back to the board in any formal way? One reading reso or ordinance, or probably a reso of some sort? So just so we can build that into the time frame.
Since it is a special use permit, I think that you all would have to.
Okay, so I'm going to ask the county attorney if he's sitting there.
No,
But yeah, just so
yes.
we can play that into our time frame, so we can get it moving on a
it'll be a
timely,
formal.
timely federal schedule.
Yes, it'll be a formal approval,
Okay.
and because you are approving a special use permit with revenues in it, so it'll be a 2 reading.
Great, thank you.
Francie.
So do we establish the enterprise fund immediately or next year?
You do it when we do the budget of next year.
And in the meantime, the costs for the stuff we're doing this summer, are those OST costs?
The position is an open space and trails cost. We have it, we've talked to Rye, and Scott can fill in for if he wants. But, open space and trails in their charter, we have this cooperating agreement with the Forest Service. Now, can we take over Forest Service property? That's a little beyond the charter. But to assist, we can continue to do that. So what Open Space and Trails is paying for this year is for the position, Olivia's position, and we're also paying for one full-time seasonal position with the forest to help with wildwood and to help with all the other pieces that they have. You are also,
Two.
what?
I thought we had two.
We used to have 2. They couldn't, one of them left and they couldn't rehire. So the county decided to put some of that funding towards the 2 backcountry officers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you have
the SO.
one of the big pieces.
Out of
and
the sheriff's office. You mean?
yes,
Yeah.
and the sheriff is going to be a big piece of our conversation going forward, is because they do pay, the general fund is paying for those 2 positions. And so that's what the county is funding position-wise this year.
That's all we're funding this year.
That's all we're funding this
I
year.
see. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Further questions?
Jeffrey, does this end at, I'm just curious on where our role ends and the Forest Service still continues. Backcountry permits is still managed by Forest Service and all the management of that 4-pass zone. So none of that has changed. That still will stay intact, and that's ongoing.
Correct.
So we're basically dealing with to the edge of Maroon Lake almost. And
There's on the map, it shows you what the scenic area is, and it goes all the way down towards the entrance station and all the way up around, kind of where, the way I kind of say it to people is, when you cross Maroon Creek after you come out of the Bells and you're heading up to Crater Lake, that's where you leave.
So below Crater Lake? Just
Yeah,
below Crater Lake?
much below Crater Lake, but yeah, it's that whole Maroon Bells area. So it's the trails, it's the natural resources, so noxious weeds and restoration and any of that. It's the water, it's the electricity, it's the bathroom facilities, it's campgrounds, and the entrance station. So it's all of those pieces. You're also dealing with the amphitheater, which is where the wedding is. You're dealing with East Cypress, East Maroon and West Maroon, and those parking areas there.
The Forest Service wilderness fee, that'll still be managed by the Forest Service, although there is some overlap, as you could imagine, with access and parking and checking those fees on the way in. Forest Service retains oversight of all the permitted outfitter and guides up there. And then our role we don't step back and go away. We function more in a permit administrator role with you guys, right? So you'll have your special use permit, just like you have for the Aspen Ranger Station, and we'll help administer that permit with you guys to make sure, we're on the straight and narrow and help manage the place that way.
And one also thing that brings up that I forgot is, we have this, we already have a special use permit on the ranger station. One of the things is we'll also be able to use the bunkhouse to house some of the employees. And so obviously there's a fee on that because we have to pay the forest for that, but it's just something that we'll include in all the costs and everything else. But it'll help us recruit people for next summers to have some of that. So that's really helpful.
Be nice to see that space in use again.
Yeah, well, we've been, we've kind of taken over the ranger station there, our rangers, and we have a pretty large ranger crew now.
We've been doing that for a while.
Yeah, we've been doing that for a while. So, which is great. We've totally that place got a major remodel, and in exchange for rent, we remodeled it, and right now it's our ranger home, and it'll be the Maroon Bells home. So it'll actually help be both of those things in the future. So it's kind of a critical component of it. So thanks for bringing that back up.
Thank you.
This is a little far afield, but with all these Forest Service people here, I just have to go here. So in terms of the possible relocation of the Forest Service offices, is that going to happen, or is it still being discussed? And then also the what's that word? Consolidating of the different offices into regional offices instead of local offices. Is that a decision that's being implemented, or is it still malleable?
Yeah, I can take that one. The short answer is it's being implemented. There's always some opportunity post midterms, say, for people to get in the mix and influence the outcome. But at present, we're planning for the version of the reorganization that you all have seen in the press and elsewhere. For that, for us on the White River, that means we'll have a state-based organization with a Colorado state director, as opposed to a regional organization that includes South Dakota, Nebraska, Wyoming, and Kansas. That might actually be to our net benefit, a little closer tie, to our local politicians and all the rest. And beyond that, there's not a lot of near-term immediate impact to the White River National Forest. It's going to be difficult for a lot of people in the Forest Service. There are regional offices and research stations that are closing altogether. A lot of people are going to get directed reassignments. We expect that we will probably receive some of those refugees as new employees on the forest. But beyond that, for the foreseeable future, we're not expecting, net change on the forest.
Okay, thank you.
Greg? and
Yeah,
then I'll do a
so
follow-up.
Gary, looking forward, we're gonna be running as an enterprise. I'm certainly in favor of the special use permit. And I'm wondering, when do we reach parity? When do we reach net zero cost? If right now they're running at a $300,000 deficit, nothing that we're gonna do this summer is gonna get us closer to that. We're gonna be subsidizing it as they have. What do you have in mind? Yeah, maybe I've stated that wrong, but I'm thinking, what do you anticipate we're going to be doing in order to make it pay for itself, if that's the goal? I am totally comfortable with it, and I would go out and sell it. This is probably my most important asset, is looking as a citizen of this community. Maroon bells are certainly one of our most, if not the most important scenic asset, and we need to take care of it. We need to take care of it properly, but we also need to make sure it's paying its way, and that, or at least it's not going to take us down with expense. So what do we need to prepare the public for in terms of cost? A $5 e-bike fee, people will complain, but it's not that big a deal if you get the season pass. Sorting out the efficiency of the no-shows makes perfect sense, and maybe that'll solve a big chunk of the problem. Who knows? What else is there? Is there ideas you can share with us at this point, or if not, I'll happily wait. But I'm thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, in thinking about, so this year, the forest is still managing it, so their deficit's on the federal government, so it's not us. We have subsidized the position up there, so, you know, that amount of money is being subsidized, and that's it for this year. Next year, what we're gonna propose is a fee structure, so fees are gonna go up. I don't know how much, and I don't know where, but what we're gonna show you is a balanced budget. And so whatever fee gets in, the fees are covering all our costs. We're not looking, the county general fund doesn't have the ability to subsidize this. The Open Space and Trails Department is charter restricted on subsidizing this. So the goal will be is, yes, fees are gonna go up. I can't tell you what it's gonna go to, but they have to go up. They're gonna go up if a concessionaire takes over, because they have to come in and manage it with their staff, and they've also got a profit margin. So
That's where I was going. It's like,
right,
what
but the
can we
thing is, for
anticipate?
us, is no profit margin. However, I want to show you a balanced budget and show you that whatever revenues that we propose are going out, and that's going to be the biggest piece of the puzzle.
Great,
So
thanks. The
anyway.
comparison with another special operator is kind of where I was going. Thank you.
And Liz is here to talk about the enterprise fund.
Yeah, I was just gonna, sorry, Liz Woods, Finance Director for Picken County. But I was just gonna add that in order for the fund to maintain its enterprise status, it cannot receive other county funds over 10%. So that is another thing that we'll have to make sure that we're maintaining that enterprise status. That includes things like state funds as well. So there are kind of like pieces that are excluded, and so like federal funds are excluded, but state is considered local as well. So.
Could I ask specifically, just like say bus fares, if we wanted to change the bus fare, would that be part of the 10%, or would that be included as part of the enterprise?
Well, if you raise, the fees are of nothing, it's all about if you want to subsidize it. So the fees coming in are the fees coming in. So whatever the bus fare is,
That's
and whatever the
included in the
car
enterprise.
entrance fee is, then goes and covers that cost.
And that's
Now,
something we can do that the Forest Service cannot.
right, you don't want, right, that's what we can do. What Liz is saying is that the general fund, if it starts putting in over 10%, it's not an enterprise fund anymore. And then we gotta figure this
Jeopardy.
stuff out. But we're gonna ensure when we come back with those fees and operation costs and everything else, we're gonna ensure that this covers its way. It covers its way, and it's not only revenue neutral, but it might take in more so we can do more deferred maintenance, because I'll come in with a much better list. There's a lot, and so we need to start taking that over.
Thank you.
Nancy, and then I'll recognize myself. And then Kara will be third.
So do you guys have the bandwidth to put this together at OST? I mean, this sounds like something that a consultant would come in and do and run all the maximums and minimums and everything. And do you guys have the bandwidth for this?
The beauty is we have the Forest Service. They've been doing it for so long that they are really our consultant on this. And they're helping us. They're like saying, okay, this is what we have done in the past. So cost it out with the county. It's not as hard as like coming in and trying to start a new business.
Yeah.
They've already been running this business for a really long time. We know RAFTA's fees. We know we have a private concessionaire that can help us with the fees. So, and we've been partnering on this for the last 50 years. So it's not just open space and trails. Yes, some of my staff is going to be needed to put these numbers together. But the beauty is with these guys, it's not as difficult as it seems because we're just taking from their cost to our cost and then putting a fee structure behind that.
I see. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we have, in fact, hired a consultant or worked with a consultant to help us come up with some of those numbers to make the math. And Sam can speak to that if you have any more questions. But not only is it not just the county, it's not only us. I mean, we've engaged some other partners to help us figure out what a fee structure that would be sustainable, what that would be.
Okay, good
You want to
job.
talk about the Volpe group? Because, I meant Forest Service, but they have a consulting group behind them.
Well, we've both, as a part of the Comprehensive Recreation Management Plan and the stakeholder group that Kendra mentioned earlier, we've been co-funding the Volpe Center, which is part of U.S. Department of Transportation, and they're transportation planners, and they've kind of facilitated our group, and they're intimately familiar with, funding models that include shuttles and vehicles and all sorts of road maintenance and all those kinds of things. So we've got help. I wanted to mention the one other thing on county fees from the Forest Service perspective is under a special use permit, the county would propose the fees and the Forest Service would choose to accept them or not, and we would work with each other. It's not a full do whatever you want, but it's, we would look at comparable fees for other, kind of similar destinations like that have those kinds of amenities and that kind of management, and we'd work together on, an acceptable fee
I
program.
got Kara, myself, and then Greg.
And how far up does the decision go? Is it a local decision to accept it, or does it go up to somebody who might have a grudge against Aspen or something?
No, it's Brian's decision as forest
great.
supervisor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We like keeping it
Kara-
below that upper level.
Kara,
don't we?
so we're not going online.
Hi, thank you. Maybe I'll speak to Francie's question as well as I wanted to bring up another point on prize fund. So I think Francie, to your question on Gary's capacity and his team, that is also what we're seeking direction from the board. If the board gives direction, it's not just to open space, it's to a lot of capacity from other folks in the county. So I just we'll continue to lean on all the great work Gary and his team, but it's also been us finding some additional capacity to work through the special use permit process over the next few months. And then the other point I just wanted to make, maybe to build out for the board and for the public here today too, is by moving into that enterprise fund, and I think the Forest Service is talking about, we'll come back with a lot of options, but it will require, that enterprise fund is going to require us to look at raising fees that will be different for the public and that will be coming back to the board. And so moving forward with this decision is also recognizing those fees are going to increase, that we're doing it out of the best benefit for the community and our values, but it is different. And so I want to make sure that that maintains part of the conversation, both for today and moving forward, if we are to move this into that enterprise fund function.
So Greg, and then I'll finally recognize myself.
Thank you, Kara.
Thanks, Jeffrey. So I just want to make sure I understand the road to the Maroon is a county road. I believe Pitkin County and RAFTA run the bus service and have the jurisdiction over that road. Is our fee for the bus actually something that we have to go to the Forest Service for permission? I'm trying to understand who has the jurisdiction to decide what the fee should be, because it sounds as if the impression I have is that the fee for the bus isn't something that is controlled by the Forest Service. Am I incorrect?
Go ahead.
You got it, yeah.
Yes.
It's Roaring Fork Transit Authority's fee. They set the fees for the shuttle riders, and they also, as a part of that fee, they contribute a portion of each shuttle ticket back to management of the Maroon Bells.
Right.
So under the current model where we operate everything, they contribute 65 cents per shuttle ticket back to the Forest Service to support management of the bells. But that's a really important component of visitation up there. It's 2/3 of the visitation comes via shuttle, and so yeah, there has to be coordination with RAFTA on the contribution of each shuttle rider to the management, as well as what that means for their shuttle fees.
Great, thank you.
So I think for today's conversation, I would love to see 5 thumbs up from the table. It's a different conversation than we had a year ago. A year ago, we were talking about staffing of backcountry resource officers to keep the quality of land in place, to keep the visitor experience, and I think the third one was quality of land, quality of public experience, health, safety of visitors. So it's a different conversation 1 year on, and thank you for showing up in Pickle Green. It's wonderful to see all of you. I think I would add to our list that we started to espouse a year ago, which is we need to recreate responsibly. I think that's the wildfire component. I think that's the worry about the degradation of trails or harm to ecosystems. But I also think we need to be partners to the community as well. So I think the other message out of this meeting should be there should be zero fares still if you're leaving from someplace like Ruby Park or Brush Creek. So as much as everyone's looking to increase fees, I also think if people take 100%, either they're leaving from Ruby Park or Brush Creek, wherever, there's an opportunity to enjoy the bells and public lands for free. So
I don't agree with that.
I'll leave on that economic note, on that high note. But I think you're seeing thumbs up around the table. I think the question in front of the board at a work session was thumbs up to move forward on a special
I
use
don't
plan.
do thumbs up at work sessions, but I would like to see
not.
this move forward and bring it back to us when we have more discussion till we can be at a regular meeting and take final action.
I'll do a thumbs up.
Thank you, appreciate it.
That's
But
5.
I'm not
That's
doing
5.
thumbs up to free guys.
It's a head nod from Patty. I like, yes, that she always does this. I'm like, yes.
Olivia, final word, or Matt, or David.
Who you want?
I'd love to hear from Olivia.
Hi,
because
Olivia.
You're the point person. You're going to be the person who's right up there with the public.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm excited to learn, see how the Forest Service operates up there. I worked for the county for 5 years, so I have a good idea of how we like to do things, and so I know there's going to be a lot of learning of how our 2 operation systems can kind of come together going forward with this operations plan. Today we had our Maroon Bells work day. Picken County Road and Bridge has, I think, 8 guys up there right now moving all the rocks, and all of Picken County Open Space and Trails maintenance team is up there. A few rangers are up there, and from the Aspen-Sopris Ranger District, the Wilderness crew, the Disperse crew, the Bells crew, and the Trails crew are all up there. So right now, if you happen to not be watching this meeting, you might be biking to the Bells and see 40 of your public servants doing the work to beautify the Bells right now, and solidifying this partnership together. And they were enjoying sandwiches when I left. So
Sounds like they're having a party without us, so come on.
yeah, I've got a lot to learn to help make this go smoothly. So yeah, thank you for
Good for you.
supporting this position. Grateful to work for a community that wants to help our public lands.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian, closing comments?
Thank you. We were hoping for this kind of support, and just grateful to hear it. And like I said at the outset, this is really important to us. It's a critical part of the forest, and frankly, it's it's important beyond that too, right? To the state and to the nation, and so glad we have a plan to keep it in shape.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone joining us and all the
Please
feedback.
give our best to Jennifer.
Yeah.
Yeah, please. And the conference I was attending had a big focus on public lands. It was the National Association of Counties Western Interstate Region. So the jurisdictions you just mentioned were all present. And it was, everybody in the western states is so supportive of public lands, and without respect to partisanship, they're working together to help do the best that we can to help you do the best for our public lands.
Gary or Kara, closing comments.
Kara, do you want to give closing or you want me to? I'm happy to do it.
I'll give brief, but you can add on. I would just add on, it's exciting, and thank you for all the amazing work that Gary and his team and Brian and Scott have been doing on behalf of the county in partnership with the Forest Service as we continue to build that forward.
Yeah, my closing comment is we're going to manage it as a community. We have a ton of community partners. Some of them are in the room. I didn't even invite them, but they're here. And it's so, the beauty is this is not just the county. This is the community managing a public treasure. So I'll leave with that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
you all so much.
Yeah, thank you to David
Good to
and
see you
Matt.
all.
Thank you to David and Matt for being here
Thank
as
you
well
for
from
driving
RAFTA as well as the city of
I didn't
Aspen.
realize Matt was here. Oh, you should have called him up.
And so for grassroots, we're going to take 5 minutes. I think there's enough people that are going to probably stand up. We'll need 5 minutes between this and the emergency dispatch agenda item. So a 5-minute break. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really? Man, they're working. They're going for it. It's not look like a giant machine.
Good afternoon. It is May the 12th, 2026. This is the work session of the Board of County Commissioners, Pitkin County, Colorado. We are joined by Mr. Krueger. Jeff Krueger, the Dispatch Center Construction Project Update.
And Brad.
And Brent, good to see you.
Hello.
PRC DRC.
PC Red Sea.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to use the name right.
It's the six-letter acronyms. I have a hard time with.
So we.
You have a hard time not using it.
Should I begin?
It's all, the table's all yours.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Appreciate it. My name is Jeff Krueger. I'm formerly the Telecommunications Director for the county, and now I'm the Project Manager for the new 911 Dispatch Center. Right, you want to go ahead?
I'm Brad Loeb. I'm the 911 Dispatch Center Director.
Why don't you pull over a second mic? Yeah.
Do I need to do that again?
And is the light on?
Red light's on.
It is on.
Good. Excellent. Thank you, Kim.
So today we're going to be providing a construction update, and this is actually a building of previous updates. I thought it'd be good to provide kind of the history and timeline, how we got to where we are today, our partnership, our team, the Station 42 remodel as a whole. We're a piece of this total remodel project. We'll talk about the dispatch floor plan. We'll go over some key elements in the design as well as some human factors that have gone into the design. Then I'll go over project phases as well as the schedule. We'll talk budget and financing. And then we'll go over some future agenda items that are going to need your review and approval. And I'll leave time for questions, but certainly if you want to interrupt me at any point in the presentation, please do. So let's start with the history and timeline. I thought it was important really to kind of set the stage of how we got to where we are today. So going back 10 years, pretty long time, we actually moved the dispatch center from the jail over to Aspen Fire North 40. And this was an existing structure that we retrofitted to be a dispatch center. The facility itself was never designed as a dispatch center. Therefore, it had a number of challenges. Here's some photos of that dispatch center. The space for the operations area supported 4 consoles. We had to retrofit a generator, a UPS system. The server room was actually a closet, storage closet that we converted into a server room. It never was adequately sized to be a dispatch server room. The UPS system, which is on the very bottom right, and the electrical panel, that was actually a janitor's closet, which we converted into the electrical closet. So it had a lot of challenges. It only had a single office, so it didn't support Brett and his team in terms of their staffing requirements. It had a small conference room, which we actually converted into a training room. So even that conference area wasn't adequately sized to support a dispatch center. So it certainly had its challenges, but we made the best of what we had. It was a temporary stopgap solution to a permanent facility. It was never intended to be a full-time permanent dispatch center. Aspen Fire gave us a 10-year lease with the understanding that we would be into a permanent facility within 10 years. They wanted to recoup or recover that space eventually. And so that's where we are in terms of that history. So let's go forward 5 years. Brett and his team commissioned an independent study of the dispatch center and really looked at 3 aspects. It looked at their technology, their staffing, and then their facility needs. And as far as the facility needs goes, the consultant, or Mission Critical Partners is what they're called, or the company is called, they came back and said, given your call volume, given your staffing, given future growth, we anticipate requiring a 13,000 square foot facility. They used a traditional model which kept everything centralized, and at 2021 dollars, they were anticipating $10 million in cost to build that facility. I believe they're out of Texas. That was probably underestimated. Maybe you can build a facility in Texas for that, but our valley's a little bit different, as we all know. So that was their recommendation 5 years ago.
The math doesn't add up, by the way.
Yeah, the math didn't add up, yeah.
Even then.
Still, we knew we needed a new facility, and Brett and his team were planning that for years. So fast forward a couple of years, there was an emerging trend going on within the dispatch world on decentralizing or distributing the environment. And Brett thought that he could take that notion, build a smaller main dispatch center, and then build satellite centers off of that. And he had some funding and asked the telecom department to build a satellite center as a proof of concept at the Southside facility. And that was done in 23. It went operational in 24, and there's a picture. It's actually 2 consoles. My office was right next to that. It's used all the time. It's proven to be a great resource. It's a backup facility. It's not only a main satellite facility, but it's a backup facility in the event that we lose our main facility in Aspen. So this concept has proven itself. That is, build a smaller main facility and build satellite facilities to get to that square footage requirement. In early 24, Ann, who's behind me, yeah. Well, Ann and Brett worked on updating our IGA for our multi-agency consortium, if you will. we are the governing body for the multi-agency dispatch system. We provide staffing, we provide facilities. The IGA covers kind of the cost share, if you will, between all the agencies. And the new dispatch center will adhere to that IGA. Then in '24, Brett also did a number of site evaluations, trying to find really a space for our new dispatch center, knowing our lease was going to expire this year. And he looked at a couple options, one being the new sheriff's complex, potentially with a jail. The other, Basalt Police Department is in the process of updating or rebuilding a new facility. Doing a new standalone facility was certainly an option. And then Roaring Fork Fire approached us with their station remodel and said, hey, would you guys be interested in us adding a second floor to an addition we're building, which is 4,000 square feet? We thought, well, 4,000 square feet is pretty ideal for our core dispatch center. And so given that viability, as well as given the timing and knowing that we had to be out of the Aspen Fire building by the year 26, we elected to proceed down that road. And this really kind of makes sense. Roaring Fork Fire, even though it's in Eagle County, we won't hold that against them. But most of our agencies actually are multi-county. The Sheriff's Department supports Eagle County up to Frying Pan. We support Basalt Police, which supports Eagle and Pitkin counties. Roaring Fork Fire actually spans Pitkin, Eagle, and Garfield County, and then Carbondale Fire spans Garfield, Pitkin, and Gunnison County. So we're supporting all of that. We elected to put together a 2025 budget capital request in the amount of $5 million. That was approved in December of '24. At the time, we were thinking that this was going to be about a 4,000 square foot facility. It ended up growing a little bit. I'll go into that in a minute. We also completed a construction IGA with Roaring Fork Fire, and this really established the framework for our construction. It also established a condominium unit, and that was kind of key. We wanted to make sure that this was a solely owned property by Pitkin County, that we had both title and deed. So that established all of that framework, and it also established use of some of the common elements. As an example, we have 13 parking spaces. So these are some of the things that were in the construction IGA. Going forward, we're going to need to actually convert that construction IGA into an operations and maintenance IGA, and that'll be something that we bring towards to the board probably this summer at some point. We started phase 1 construction, broke ground last summer. It's ongoing. I'll go into that schedule. In '25, given some of the square footage issues, we anticipated about 4,000 square feet. Of course, we're on the second floor, so going vertical required more space. It required stairs, elevator. We also required space on the first floor, which was for an electrical and demarc rooms, and these are really to support the extensive telecommunications as well as electrical requirements for the dispatch center. So we went to you, asked for some additional funds, $3.5 million, for a total of $8.5 million, and so that is where we are right now in terms of funding. And then phase 2 interior construction began in February. So let's go into our team briefly. I think we've assembled a really good team. We're positioned for success. On the county side, it includes Ann, Ryan, Brett, Kevin, myself, but it also includes the dispatch team as well as the telecom team have been big contributors to this project. Our partner in this is, of course, Roaring Fork Fire. We've got a great relationship with Chief Thompson, and that's just proven to be very effective in this project overall. We're represented by a company called Wember out of Grand Junction. Our architect is a company called Chamberlain. They're also out of Grand Junction. And our contractor is MW Golden Constructors. They're actually out of Denver. So, and we are, you know, Roaring Fork Fire did a competitive bid on this project. They selected MW Golden based on cost. And we, of course, are using the same contractor. We're getting economies of scale by doing that.
Jeff, how come we didn't use the same mechanical?
Pardon?
How come we didn't use the same mechanical engineer as Roaring Fork Fire?
We are using, the mechanical is all Bighorn Engineering.
On the drawing side?
Yes.
I thought there was a different mechanical engineer upstairs and downstairs.
There is not that I would know of. It's Bighorn is did all of that. To my knowledge. Okay. Let's talk about the overall Station 42 remodel. This is a huge project in terms of scope. Roaring Fork Fire is actually doing an expansion and remodel of their existing facility. They're adding a vehicle and a maintenance facility of 10,000 square feet. They're also remodeling their current apparatus bays. And there's an additional burn building, so this is for training and a tower, where they can simulate actual fires. And they're also adding an office and administrative building. That's 4,000 square feet, and that's highlighted in yellow on this diagram. Of course, they came to us about expanding that space and putting a dispatch center there. We will be occupying the second floor. And again, roughly at that time, it was about 4,000 square feet is what we were trying to achieve. But it also includes site improvements, kind of a new entrance, additional parking, EV charging, and projected cost is $28 million for that project. Here's a kind of a 3D rendering of what they're doing. The dispatch center is kind of, I highlighted in green, and that sits on the back of the building on the north side. Here's another picture showing the north side of the dispatch center, again, the second floor. And here's an elevation drawing. Again, we're on the second floor, and we comprise the entire second floor of that addition. Here's the floor plan. We talked about this on the last update in January. Some of the big changes from our current dispatch center, which is at about 2,300 square feet, is we have an increased operations area. We can support up to 8 dispatch consoles there. We've got office space. Staff did not have office space, or doesn't currently. So this includes a director's office, the IT manager's office, ops manager office, as well as a supervisor's office. We've got dedicated mechanical, electrical rooms. I'm very excited about the server room. This is going to be so much better than being in a storage closet. And we've got a decompression space. That's new. And so that's something you're starting to see in dispatch centers. I know Brett and his team have toured a lot of new dispatch centers in Denver, and they're seeing these decompression spaces now in dispatch centers, and it's important. I'll get into that in a minute. Overall square footage, though, like I said, our target goal was about 4,000 square feet. The dispatch space itself is 4,200 square feet. Because we went vertical, we required stairs and elevator that added about 900 square feet. And we also needed some additional space on the first floor in terms of an electrical and demarc closet, and that's about 400 square feet. Combined, we're at 5,550 square feet. Now, I'd like to just talk a little bit about some of the key elements in this design. This is not your standard building. Of course, it has, you know, heating, air conditioning, walls, data, power outlets, and all that. But it also has many features in addition to that, what you'd find in a normal commercial building. We've got uninterruptible power supply that backs up the entire server room as well as the operations floor. This device here is shown on the right of what we need. We also have redundant HVAC systems, a generator, a 250 kilowatt generator. We've got redundant communication pathways. This includes fiber, microwave, copper, antennas to support radio communications. We have specialized fire suppression systems. In this case, we're using a potassium aerosol system shown here in red. And we've got specialized lightning protection as well as grounding systems. So a dispatch center requires a lightning protection system. So we use air terminals that are positioned around the top of the building. They and then turn discharge to ground in the event that we do get a lightning strike or an electrical surge. We also have specialized grounding, and that's kind of shown here on the right. There's a lot of copper in this building, so probably should keep that to ourselves. And then there's just enhanced physical security in terms of card reader access and separation. And then another key element in the design is really the human factor. A dispatch operator is considered probably one of the most stressful jobs there is.
Try being a county commissioner.
Well, maybe you can take some of this to life
Don't even get it here in this
in your
building,
next
so.
remodel. How's that? But it's a high stress environment. They deal with life and death situations. There are traumatic events. This leads to emotional intensity, cognitive fatigue, just high stress in general. And there's been a lot of research on how to mitigate this. Brett, in particular, has actually done a lot of research in this area in terms of the neurophysiological effects of this and how we can mitigate these things. And some of the elements that we're going to be putting in the new dispatch center are, and I'll just kind of go over these briefly, but one is diffusers, and that's for the HVAC system, and that's really to prevent drafts and air blowing on people. That's known to be a fatigue issue. Another one is having northern windows, and it just so happens this is situated facing north. All of our windows are facing north. We have consistent lighting. We don't get highs and lows in terms of lighting intensity, which is good. And another thing is the ability to do blackout shading. So that's kind of important. So we will be doing motorized blackout shades. Using calm, kind of warm temperature lighting, not too high Kelvin. Another thing is sound absorbing materials. We're going to be using wall panels that are shown here on in the picture, but these are wall panels that have sound absorbing material in them. We'll also be using ceiling baffles that have sound absorbing material. These again are just kind of reduced fatigue on our operators. Help them hear better when there's background noise, sirens, and those kind of things. Also, personalized workstations or consoles. These have height adjustments. They have lighting adjustments. They also have heating elements if you want to heat that environment. And then the ability to decompress in the event that you just need to chill and get away. And so we plan to have a decompression space, and that's a lounge area, as well as some bunk rooms that can be used just to lie down. recover, to recoup in the event that something happens, and could potentially also be used if there's a inclement weather event, where somebody can't get home or something like that. So, and then a color palette that makes sense for the natural environment. And a lot of work has actually gone into the color palette, and I'll show you some of the interior finishes here.
If I could add one thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because I found this fascinating as I was studying it. I was like, we want to stay awake. 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon shouldn't matter. And I know casinos are known for being able to keep people awake and engaged. So I started studying that, and I always heard the rumor that they were pumping in oxygen. You always hear they're keeping it awake. Well, that's a highly unstable gas, and probably not a good idea to pump oxygen into anything. But what I did learn was it's actually the lack of carbon dioxide that keeps people alert and awake. We had already designed in the program, the HVAC system has a CO2 monitor that will regulate the carbon dioxide in there and have that same effect. So I just thought that was an interesting little fact that we learned.
That's what museums use, and then bring in
Yeah.
fresh air.
Yeah.
Are you doing, given you're operating close to what was a wildfire a couple years ago, so you're moving out of what probably wasn't the WUI and moving closer to the WUI, are you doing MERV 13 as well as carbon, or just MERV 13 filters? So the question is really, you're going to operate during a wildfire. You're building a building next to where we just had a pretty extreme wildfire. The air quality in the valley, great systems, awesome. CO2 monitors, cool, but I'm concerned about your indoor air quality overall if you're operating during a fire in the valley.
Good point. I'm not sure I can answer that, but I can certainly look into it.
I'd love to hear you using both, because
Okay, yes.
I want to hear that's the level of comfort you would have in the building to operate during a wildfire.
Good point.
Yeah. So
I think it's
question.
one of the advantages of having a distributed model is in the event that if the air quality was so bad that we couldn't operate out of that facility, we'll still have satellite facilities where we can operate out of. So that's kind of the plan I know Brett has going forward. It's not going to be just one, it's going to be multiple satellite facilities. So. And that's really, it's to mitigate those type of natural events that could occur. So.
Yeah, I'm just like all the thought that goes into DR and BCP, disaster recovery and business continuity planning, and then you forget about the people inside.
Yep.
So that was my question.
Since the air's filtered.
Yeah.
We will take that up. Thank you.
And can I ask a question?
Please.
Just, you mentioned the fire department has a burn building, a burn facility, whatever you call it. It's not attached to the building.
And no.
Just making sure. How far away is it from?
It's on.
It's right here.
It's out there, okay.
Yeah.
So it's far enough away from the dispatch center.
Yeah,
so
that's been highly regulated, and yes.
Whose mic's not on, Kim?
She wants it to point at me. It's on.
Thank you.
Okay, just checking. It's like, yeah, we're going to be lighting fires this close to our dispatch center?
Well,
I don't think so.
It's good training.
I guess we are co-located with a fire department, right? So it should have some benefit, I would think.
Yeah, they'll be quick to respond.
But the answer to your question, Greg, though, it's a fully non-combustible building. It's clad in stone and metal, so it's type 1 construction. It's all steel frame. There's no sticks anywhere in the building. It's not
Correct.
stick frame.
Yeah.
And then the detached building, which is the 3-story practice center, I don't know what you call it.
It's called a
The
burn
burn
building.
facility
Yeah.
has,
Maybe nervous.
you can burn wood, you can burn gas, there's confined spaces, there's movable walls.
Yeah,
It's going to be pretty amazing for the valley.
Sounds like an escape room.
Well, the joy is it is because you can go in multiple times and not have the same
Right.
experience. If you just went in and go, oh, I know this, I've been in here for a week. And so they can actually move the partition walls and change the experience.
All right, let's go into project phases. So there's three phases to this project. Phase 1 is the building shell or exterior. This includes the foundation, the steel, the siding, the weather barrier. It includes all the windows, the roofing, the doors. And we're on schedule right now to be completed with that the end of May. So I'll show you some pictures, but it's really coming along good. There is also a common element piece to phase 1, and that will be completed over the summer. And that's really just the parking, the curbs, the sidewalks, the landscaping. There is some EV charging associated with that. We do plan on having 6 EV charging stations that are be eligible for both the fire department as well as Pickens County. And there's also some public-facing EV charging stations that the public can use. Phase 2 is the tenant improvement piece, or the building interior. That started in February. It's ongoing. That includes all the interior framing, the mechanical, electrical, the plumbing, the flooring, the ceiling, all the insulation, the drywall, interior doors. It also includes our lightning protection, our generator, fire suppression, and access control. That is planned to be completed in October.
Hey, Jeff, sorry, to go back, you mentioned EV charging. It always kind of makes my ears perk up. What level chargers? I assume the public facing are level 2.
They're level 2 chargers, yeah.
Okay. And then the ones in the back are all level 2 as well?
They are, yeah.
Okay, I'm just wondering if the scenario of needing a quick recharge might push them to consider a level 3 charger, which I know brings additional expense, but it's an emergency services facility, so if somebody
this
needs
is
to get in
something
and
that
out in
Roaring
10
Fork
minutes.
Fire is actually managing. We're
Yeah,
just
it's
kind of
their
along.
department, right.
We're along for the ride. So
Yeah, okay. Just wondering what they were contemplating, because if you're in a hurry, all of a sudden 20 minutes to charge or versus 2 hours or 3 hours is a big deal. So just wanted to. We've got one at Public Works now, which is when they need it, they can charge up in a matter of minutes,
right.
As opposed to level 2, which could be overnight.
Yeah.
And who's funding the chargers?
Eagle County.
It's actually they got a grant for that.
So it's not coming out of our
It's not us,
budget.
yeah.
Okay.
Just wanted to
Parks we
flag
get.
that. Thanks. Have Eagle County put a level 3 charger in.
Okay.
It's not their building, it's the fire district.
I'll bring that to their attention in the
Well,
next
just
meeting.
thinking, if you're in a hurry, it's nice to have that, as Jeffrey knows.
And then phase 3, so we've talked about the shell, the exterior, the interior. A big piece of a dispatch center, of course, is all the equipment, the furniture, the consoles, all the server room equipment. That really is what makes a dispatch center. So that's what we're calling phase 3. We plan to start that once we can start moving things in. Probably, we believe July timeframe, we'll be able to start occupying some of that space, moving equipment in, moving furniture, consoles in, and the goal is to have that completed by the end of the year.
And that's our deadline, to be out of the fire.
Yeah, our current lease expires February 28th, so we'll have some time to actually get out and move. And I'll just share some pictures at this point. So this was last summer when the foundation went in, as well as the building steel. This next picture is, I want to say, probably the October, November timeframe, when we were getting all of the conduit in. This requires extensive conduit. We were going back and forth on the design for months, it seemed, on this, but yeah, just an extensive amount of conduit going in for both electrical and telecommunications. We actually did a 3D diagram of all the conduit just so we could get a better idea visually of what was required. So I believe this was kind of November, December timeframe. Of course, we're getting some weather in then. But at that point, you could see some of the exterior weather barrier going up. And it's starting to take shape. And this is more recent. So most of the exterior is actually complete. The siding, there's a kind of a rock siding on the bottom floor, a metal siding on the upper floor. All the windows are in. We're still doing a little bit where the elevator and stairs are. But again, this is all planned to be completed at the end of this month. And that
There's
picture,
your training tower.
yeah, that picture in the very center, I took that. It was, I think, it was a day we had snow a week and a half ago or so. And I took that picture just because I thought it was just a beautiful picture with Basalt Mountain in the background and the snow. And so the structure in the middle of that, that's the burn tower. Here's our phase 2 interior. All the framing is complete. Our mechanical ducting work is going in. Our heat pumps are going in. The stairs are in. What else? We've got insulation going in. A lot of the drywall has actually started. We've completed all of our inspections for mechanical, electrical, insulation, so we can start closing up walls. And we've been putting in a lot of effort into just making sure everything is 100% correct in terms of what's required in the walls themselves. And we want to make sure, we just want to make sure it's really perfect before we put up drywall. I'm going to talk now about phase 3 build out and integration. So this is really all the components that make up a dispatch center. We've got our furniture consoles. There's a picture of some on the very bottom. We have a server room too that's really almost like a mini data center. It's going to be comprised right now of 8 racks of equipment. And it's going to have all of the networking gear, telecommunications, fiber, copper. It's a pretty extensive build just to get that server room completed.
But it doesn't take as much water as a data center.
There's no water required.
As a data center.
It requires microwave dish. There's currently a microwave dish on the hose tower for Station 42. We're going to actually be upgrading that. But the server room itself just requires racks, patch panels, power distribution units. The furniture also requires monitors, keyboards, all those kind of things. So these are all items that make up a dispatch center. It also includes office furniture. So we have to purchase and furnish this space. You know, our conference room, our offices, our you know, the decompression space, all that has to be furnished and supplied.
Nothing comes from Aspen, nothing comes from either this building. We just gave away $75,000 in furniture plus.
And nobody seemed to want to take it because they wanted
Yes.
new furniture.
We're actually looking at some furniture, I believe, that's is available for some of the office space, so in order to reduce that cost. So. Here's just a rendering of what our furniture consoles. Brett actually did a competitive bid on this. They selected a company. This is the rendering they provided for the space. There's room for 8 consoles. They initially planned to build out 6 consoles. So we'll have 6 initially with room for growth for 2 more. It's another picture. All right, enough with the pictures, I guess. Let's talk budget and finances. So the total construction budget for phase 1 and 2 is $8.5 million. We've spent about 3.2 to date. We've got remaining about 5.2, which is about 30% of the contracted amount. This budget does include contingency of $250K. But phase 3 was never included in phase 1 and 2 capital budget requests, and we are going to require a supplemental for that, and I'll get into that in a minute. We anticipate being around 400K. We have had a few change orders in this process. They've been relatively small. One of the big ones, though, is for the for all the low voltage cabling. We put in an estimate, I believe, of 65K in the contract. The bid did not come in yet, and once we did get our bid, it came back at 95K, which is about a 30K difference roughly. So that makes up part of that 50K. The other 20K is just small items. So I believe we're managing our change orders really well, and I think that can be attributed to all the work that went into the design initially. Let's talk future agenda items. So phase 3 is going to require a budget supplemental request. So that's second quarter, which will be on June 9th. We'll come before you and discuss this. I wanted to give you kind of a preliminary heads up now that will be coming your way, though. We are also anticipating a Pickens County Roaring Fork operations IGA. Again, this is converting our construction IGA into an operations IGA. We've got a draft of that now. We're currently reviewing it, but we anticipate that coming to you sometime this summer. And then there's the condominiumization legal documents. Those are all being worked. I believe that those are kind of in a county attorney review right now. Between Eagle County and Pickens County. Rye's not here. I have him maybe ask him where that sits, but that's currently in legal review. Yeah, so here's our supplemental budget request. Just what we're anticipating.
So just to back up, so phase 2, you're going to go through your $250,000 contingency, and now you're asking for 400 on top of that?
So we need to ask for, that contingency won't be released until the end of phase 2, which is October. So we need to ask for a budget supplemental now to cover costs now. If we don't spend all that money, and obviously within our contingency, and I do expect we'll have contingency money left over, that in turn can be applied towards our overall project costs. And so that would reduce our supplemental requests, but unfortunately we have to ask for the full amount now. So yeah, but we're hoping, we're hoping that we're going to have money left over in contingency, and that can be applied towards this. So. But the items we need there were a couple items that were not part of the phase 1, phase 2 contract. This included our access control system. The county recently upgraded all of our facilities to a new access control system. We elected not to go with a separate system. We didn't want to do that, obviously. So we just did an amendment to the existing contract. That's $55K. We also require grounding and lightning protection. This is a specialized field. Our contractor really didn't want to take this on, and so there's vendors that specialize in this work, so we're going to do that separate. That's $50K. We also have commissioning, and this is really just ensuring that our mechanical system is all functioning, is all working correctly. That amounts to $25K. We are anticipating some amendments within our architect and OR of about $75K. The server room build out, we're anticipating about $100K for that. And then miscellaneous items, all of our furniture, our monitors, smart boards, TVs, office supplies, we're anticipating about $100K for that as well. So total is $400K. One of the things that we are doing as a cost savings measure, we actually got a bid to build out the server room that came back at about $70K. And we've got staff here that really does that. We have expertise in-house. The dispatch team, they've got experience doing that. Telecom, of course, has experience doing that. And so really as a cost-saving measure, we just said, let's do this ourselves. And so really that's, with the budget as it is, it's something. And so we're going to go ahead and build out the server room ourselves.
We go to questions because we're almost out of time. I would like to have some time for discussion.
Guess what the slide says?
Oh, perfect timing. We don't really have any time since but yeah, I have significant questions. I just find it very concerning that Phase 3 budget wasn't included. The lightning stuff, all the stuff we knew we were gonna have to do. And so you're kind of coming back to us now with the building's 3/4 of the way built. How do we say no? We don't have a choice here, because we'll have a building that's not open, we can't open it as a dispatch center. We've already put in significant amounts of money, and now we're being told we have no choice. I mean, we say no, we aren't in a position, I don't believe, for this board to say no to another 400,000 that's coming out of what fund? General fund? And is it gonna be split between all the entities?
It'll be the same as the building itself, where the general fund will cover it, but then it'll be paid back by the COP from all the agencies.
Okay, so we need that broken down when you come back, because it's very difficult for us to keep whittling away to the general fund, especially in light of all the other issues we're trying to deal with as a board. So I'm kind of disappointed, I don't know, to say that this didn't come back. Now we're being asked for another amount of money for a building we thought we had funded, but we only funded Phase 1 and Phase 2, knowing there was a Phase 3, which we didn't know. So that's concerning to me. What about these multiple satellite facilities? They're still gonna be operating, or is that another part of the fund we're gonna have to pay for with our IGAs, with the other, agencies that utilize our services? Or are we gonna decommission those? It doesn't sound like we are. So we're gonna have this beautiful new facility, which is extremely well furnished. I'm very familiar with the needs of first responders. I dealt with it. I was on trauma call for the OR and the ER. I know the stress you go through. It's nice to have a place to rest and relax, but this is taxpayer dollars, and we need to be cognizant of that. So I don't see any choice but us having to move it forward, or we don't have a building that we can operate as a dispatch center. So it's disappointing to me that it didn't come back to us as a Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, because you've given us no choice. And I don't like, as a member of the Board of Commissioners, I don't like to be in that position of, here's your option and your only option.
So, Jeff or Brett, is there an appropriate time also, would the board be interested in touring the facility in its current sort of skeletal state? I think metal studs are cool.
I think he did a great job presenting us with photographs and drawings.
Fine, fair enough. I mean, sorry, I'll throw it out there if anyone from the board is interested in seeing it. You get to see elk at the same time.
Yeah, that's right.
I asked her about that the other day. She thought we should wait until it's a little bit more completed, but whatever anybody wants to do, obviously.
Cool. Thanks for all your stewardship.
There's absolutely opportunity to tour.
Yeah,
Yes,
anytime.
Anytime. We can make it happen.
So maybe back to individual commissioners. Sorry to have multiple requests.
There's a lot of trades in there right now. It's very busy, but we can certainly make time. So
I think Ted wants to belay off the rescue tower.
You have to talk to the
Catch
fire
my eye,
department,
yeah.
that's not our purview.
It's a great presentation. Yeah, I mean, I'm coming in part way. I saw some of these discussions before, back in January. I don't know the process that we get to this point with funding. I'm still learning my way, but the Phase 3 was a really small percentage of what the overall project is. So at least that ask isn't, some astronomical number. This is what I would say.
I will say in the last update, we anticipated 325K in that last update for Phase 3. So we were anticipating it. It was there. We just didn't request it in the original budgets, and that's on us.
Yeah, I just don't like being in this position.
And anything else on the finance side that we missed? Excellent, thank you. Further questions for Jeff or Brett?
No, thank you for a great presentation, very thorough.
But I guess just one follow-up.
Yeah, please.
On something Patty said, the satellite offices will all be online for as long, what's the plan?
So right now we have the Basalt Southside satellite, and we have a quasi satellite at MRA. in building there. The plan is to build that out. That won't, there won't be any funding needed for that. Once we move, we'll have an Up Valley satellite. We will keep Southside in operation until the master plan is to get something on the next infrastructure loop, which is on the north side of the river in Glenwood Springs. So then we can tap into the Denver Salt Lake infrastructure, and then anything that happens within the Roaring Fork won't affect us at all. So once that is built out, then we'll take the satellite and south side and make that the Glenwood south side. So there'll be 2 satellites, Up Valley, Down Valley, and then the main center.
So can I just request again, when you come back for the supplemental discussion, that we have a clear understanding of where the funding's coming from for Phase 3 and for future operations with the IGAs, with our other entities, again, that utilize our services for dispatch. I think the whole picture needs to be seen by the BOCC. Thank you.
Sure, thanks. And then just
Appreciate that.
yeah, like you said, the goal of everything in my mind has been to service and serve the dispatchers in this entire build out, which Jeff has done the heavy lifting of the main part of everything that we've thought of, and giving them the technical tools and giving them the comfortable environment. And then when we get down to the nitty gritty and we start looking at furniture and things like that, there's things where we've been very intentional in helping them feel comfortable and in a safe space, and in a space where they can work at 2 in the afternoon or 2 in the morning. And part of that is the decompression room and things like that. And because you mentioned it, there was a little bit of furniture that we were offered from the building. A conference table, which we needed power, and it didn't have power. And then 3 desks for our offices. Desks functionally are fine. As we looked deeper into it, they're pure white. And as we built out the whole center and understanding kind of the cues that contrast and color give off, white is a huge no-no. And also physiologically, as you move from a monitor to a white desk, you're dilating your eyes, and they get tired a lot faster. So even though they were adequate as far as function, in form, and it was 3 desks, we thought it was not as appropriate for our dispatchers to have that in there.
We don't like white melamine either, but
Yeah.
it was on offer. Thank you, and thanks for being such a great owner's rep, and thank you for Drew. He presented a couple weeks ago to the board with Fire and Fury, and he was outstanding, and the team's outstanding. So really enjoyed the telecommunications presentation a couple weeks back. So
Good to
thank
hear.
you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any closing comments, final comments?
Nope.
Excellent.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for the
Thank you.
update. And you followed the gentleman in pickle green. I never knew that was really a color.
I think they made it up. I think
Brian,
it's forest.
Brian said it. So future agendas, one question for Mr. Mann. Are you going to CCI? Will you miss the June 2nd meeting? Are you going to the CCI 3-day in June?
I was planning on
Yeah.
going.
Cool. So
Thanks,
there will
Brett.
be 3 commissioners for the June 2nd meeting. It is proposed as a joint meeting with Open Spaces Trails.
Oh, great, we'll get stuff
And
done.
And then Healthy Rivers and Streams.
Does health,
Bond
did they, there'll only be 3 commissioners at that joint meeting?
Sorry,
June 2nd?
so the June 2nd meeting is what I'm calling out, that both myself and Mr. Mann will not be here. And we have on it a joint meeting with Open Space, and then did issuance for Healthy Rivers. Those are 2 items that you might want 5 commissioners at. So I don't think that's the best use of June 2nd time. Kara is on and can join in for that, but I don't know if that's the best use of, yeah.
Could I propose deciding is it really a priority to be at CCI? Like, I really call it in question whether it's worth going to CCI.
I'm gonna,
Jeffrey's going to CCI.
Okay,
Or-
it's
so
what's
I would-
most important to you.
So,
but is it
so
the
we
most
set the
important thing?
calendar, we set the calendar the year in advance.
Right, sure.
And there's two people, and for right now, we've had this conversation a few times this year.
Just checking in.
The governor's reorganization of the health and human services in the state is a priority, and so that will likely be the crux of 3 days in wherever it is, Keystone. So, yeah, I'm just saying, giving notice, we're a couple weeks out. Is that the best use of June 2nd? Looking at Kara.
We can follow up with Open Space and Trails and what's on their agenda. I think to maybe Greg's question and the discussion amongst the board that you've had both the CCI and others is it's a lot. You're a board of 5. You all have appointments on other items, and so I think it's identifying the issues that need to have a member of 5 and being able to continue while you all are representing in whichever appointments have been made. And so I would say that as long as the board continues to be a member of CCI, I think how we support board members to be part of those various groups and attending those, I think continues to be kind of the balance that you all need to be looking at.
One thing I'll flag as well is June is going to be a pretty heavy month, not the 2nd, but the later dates for the airport, where we have that schematic design coming before you. We had contemplated, I think it was June 16th, for a joint meeting with the AAB to go through that schematic design. So those will be a couple important dates. So we'll sounds like we're juggling a couple different joint meetings potentially, and then just, some weighty topics, obviously. So I think we'll need to sharpen pencils in the in our agenda setting just to make sure.
I think it's
we know
hard to
who's
set up
gonna be
joint
here.
meetings with Open Space and Trails, so we're lucky we have a date set, and we're just gonna probably have to live with that, which we'll get through it. We'll get through it.
I would add then we should also meet at some point over the next couple of years with both Healthy Rivers and Streams and the Planning and Zoning Commission, because it's been about at least 16 months since we've met with either of those boards. And I think we intentionally didn't meet with P&Z given what was on their agenda and sort of keeping the independence of the two boards, but it might be a nice time to get back with both boards.
I have one future agenda. I'll wait till Ryan's done making. Tuesday, May 26th in the morning is an ACRA meeting. I've given that notice to staff at the beginning of the year when all the ACRA meetings would conflict. It's not noted on the agenda. Thank you.
Kara, any additions, deletions, anything open, agenda?
Very far out. I was told Mountain 2030, which we talked about last time, is actually entertaining a conference here next after Sun Valley.
Oh, cool.
And I don't remember who said they were going,
Just on Valley? I'm going.
because I think some people at City Council who were going were just curious if we were going to be represented, because they were going to be interested in talking about bringing it here in the future. That's far out.
Excellent. Anything else, future agendas? Seeing none. Open discussion. Open discussion.
I just want to give you a quick update.
Please.
Yeah, the conference, the WIR Western Interstate Region Conference, as I already said, I did talk with the National Parks employees. They're facing cuts, but they've been granted some certain opportunities to collect revenues and to manage volunteers, which was of importance to them. Young group of people up there, very energetic, very passionate, lots of volunteers there when we were there. That was a great opportunity to visit. As far as the Lahaina fire site, there's a documentary when it's out, and I'll make sure that we can try and get it to be shown here. It's very emotional, it's in the fire. Toured the Lahaina fire site twice. They're recovering moving a little faster than I thought with residential units. FEMA really has been beneficial. Habitat for Humanity is doing a great job over there. Just their problem is getting supplies for building. Hardy Brothers, Hardy Board.
James Hardy.
Hardy Board donated all the siding for the, I spent some time talking with them about how they managed it, and it's really a community collaborative effort, which was really good to see. Very heartbreaking to see how some of the homes, multi-generational homes, and the loss of lives is still very, it's gonna take a while. Commercial is, they restored some of the main hub, but not the old funky commercial that I didn't get the opportunity to see down on Shore Street, which is right along the ocean in Lahaina Town. None of that has, because they're conflicting as to who owns what. And there is a land conservancy who's coming in, who's buying land, buy it before they sell it, or buy it before they take it, or they're buying lands so that the big developers don't come in, and they're helping people build their homes back. It was very emotional to see what they're doing to preserve the lands where people lived and raised generations of families, because the big developers are coming in and speculative purchases of properties to develop. They also had to address issues with short-term rentals, which the governor finally stepped up to the plate. He spoke by video at the conference. The senator, Schock, I think last name, was great. He came in person. I did have the opportunity to run across the room and give his staff my business card. I got a text message the very next day from his staff saying we'd like to continue our conversations with Pitkin County, see what we can share, what we can learn from our different jurisdictions. And I said we're also looking for support in the Senate for discretionary funds for our airport. And so I couldn't believe less than 24 hours later, I heard from his office, which was pretty impressive. So that was a good opening. I have his staff contact numbers, and we're going to keep in touch with what support he might be able to give us. I think he might be on appropriations in the Senate, so I'll follow up on that.
Where's he from?
Hawaii.
Oh, he's the senator from Hawaii.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he was there in person. And he was leaving the room in a rush with his staff, and I zipped across the ballroom and said, "Are you with his staff?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "Here's my business card. We'd like to see if we can have some communication." And she was great. So it was a very beneficial conference. And Hawaii is beautiful. Maui is beautiful, but really devastated by that fire. You could see it from my hotel room where the whole landscape was gone. But yeah, they're moving forward with their very much their belief in generational community. Thank you.
Welcome. Greg.
Yeah. I just want to report briefly, Watershed Collaborative met last Thursday, and we had presentations on snowpack, drought, wildfire, water conservation, aquatic nuisance species. It was pretty thorough, and I thought I'm never going to get through this day because I was jet lagged, and I was basically wrapped the entire 8-hour, 9-hour day. It was really great. The Airborne Snow Observatory spoke to us and showed us how they're measuring and getting very accurate ideas about snowpack, which is generally about 30 to 33% of normal. We had a State of the River report from Colorado River District, conservation messaging watershed-wide from, I'm trying to think of who else. Water-wise landscaping discussions, the ANS, there's a woman named Maddie from CPW who gives the best presentation on the aquatic nuisance species. It's quick, it's understandable. Yeah. She should be an influencer. She's so good.
Incredible.
Obviously she was.
You know her, yeah.
There she is.
Yeah, there she is. So talking about soil monitoring, so that was really valuable. And I've just forwarded you all the links to everything. If you want to gander through it, you can do the high-speed tour through it, and Amy will send that to you. And then last night, Aspen Daily News had a party at the Marble Distillery, and I invited several lands people to it that I knew and suggested they go. I don't know, nobody from Pitkin County other than me went, I think. But it was introducing the new public lands journalist that has been hired exclusively for public lands issues by the Daily News to cover the entire watershed in the valley focusing more this time on the lower valley. And what was great is the people who thought it would be important to be there were there. People like AVLT and ACES and all the people involved in public lands issues showed up because they wanted to meet, find out who's going to be reporting on them and to establish a rapport. I know it was a last-minute thing, but I'm sure the journalist will end up meeting our team at some point, but I think it's important to establish that relationship.
I didn't know you were there. I was right down the street while that was going on, meeting with Alice Laird from
There you
Clear.
go. Well, yeah, Alice was there for a bit. Yeah, she came in, Colin was there. So anyway, lots of good things happening. I think it's great that they've brought in a public lands reporter, and he sounds really sharp, and his name is Drew something, and he'll be coming up from Texas. But he's kind of like a beat reporter who goes out and really works on not long form. They're not going long form, they're going for short-term reporting. So hopefully
Not
we'll
like
see
Heather.
more of them in the room. Yeah,
Not stories like Heather does.
not the long form, yeah. So there you have it. That's my report.
Any other commissioner updates? Open discussion.
This is just a really short comment
please.
that's unrelated to anything about our news. Willie Nelson has a new album coming out at age 92 in
I
2
heard about
weeks. And so I listened to some teasers from it, and it is amazing. And I just want to say that if you hear all the news about how terrible pot smoking and drinking is for longevity, you might want to take that with a grain of salt.
It's the jogging. It's the jogging.
He is 92 after all, and cutting an album.
That is pretty cool. He's a pretty cool kind of guy.
It's kind of hard to follow Snoop
You
Dogg.
can't, how do you
I
follow
can't
that?
really. I'll go back to Greg's talk. I couldn't make it. I RSVP Greg, and then I was just realized our packet was 1,600 pages, and I
Yeah.
called
Yeah. No, you're
Megan
the right
Tackett
thing.
and told her I couldn't make it. I'm sorry I missed it.
You'll get a chance to catch up.
One update, anything else?
No, nothing else. Thank you.
One update, last year there was a bill that was called the Vulnerable Road User Protection Bill. This county supported it. It did not pass. It was the VRU bill. There is a letter that's in my inbox. People can't spell, but if they could, I'm looking. It's the Owl Creek Road to Truscott Vulnerable User Safety Project. It is a request from the Secretary of Transportation for grant dollars for a safe streets and roads for all, which would provide truncated domes and ADA ramps, and maybe we'd have 2 at the Brush Creek Park and Ride. But Linda's looking at me cross, so maybe that's not what it provides. So I'm looking for the board to allow me to sign the letter along with the mayor and the mayor. So it would be the 3 EOTC representatives signing this request to the Office of the Secretary of Transportation.
So Secretary Duffy?
It is Mr. Paul Teicher.
For the,
Did you send that to us yet?
is
I
it
see
federal or state?
Tara wants to talk.
State?
I haven't
Tara
seen it.
Silbernagle.
Federal.
Sorry. So this is a letter, and I apologize. I own this. I didn't get it out to all of you earlier today. It's a letter that is being asked of all EOTC members. The city of Aspen is submitting a grant request, as Jeffrey said, to, I'm not going to get it right, it's the Truscott to Owl Creek, is that right?
Owl Creek Road to Truscott Vulnerable User Safety Project.
Yeah, so it's a City of Aspen is submitting a grant application to this grant fund to the Department of Transportation for Owl Creek Road to Truscott, and is requesting support from all 3 entities of the EOTC. I can send this along to all of you to review. They are submitting the application on May 18th, so I apologize for not getting this to you all sooner, but I think the request is to enable Jeffrey to sign on behalf of the board. And I see Linda walking up to cover.
Wait,
for
can I ask a question
This is
first?
the trail from Owl
Wait,
Creek
can I
to
have a
Truscott?
question? Because part of that is Picken County. It's not City of Aspen, so we should be more directly involved. Because the part in front of Aspen, in Aspen, I believe, is Picken County. parking lot is Pickens County, the corner of Owl Creek and 82 is Pickens County. But I don't have a problem, but I think we should be bigger players in this because it's county property. The other thing is it to the federal Department of Transportation? Because the secretary of the federal Department of Transportation is Secretary Duffy.
This says his title is program manager.
Oh, so it's not to the sec.
What's the request
It's not
for?
to the secretary, yes, but it's the office of the secretary.
Okay, thank
Is
you.
there a physical
Linda,
structure?
can you provide some clarity to the
Sure.
questions that are at the table?
Linda DePriest, EOTC Director. Is this on?
The red
It's
light
red.
shows it's on.
Okay. This is a project that the EOTC approved and funded back in 2021 as part of the big package, the near-term transportation improvement program. It also included the Buttermilk pedestrian crossing, a signal queue jump for buses at Harmony Road, which we decided not to go forward with, and a study for snowmass. We've completed 95% design on this. The reason it's coming from the city of Aspen for the grant is that the majority of this trail is in their jurisdiction and would be part of their trails capital assets.
Even though part of it's in the county.
Right. It's an EOTC funded project, just a design, and it has been on hold for about a year and a half because we needed to get an easement from the Jehovah Witness folks where the trail connects into the Truscott
Right, at
Tunnel,
Truscott.
because we have to daylight that thing. It's kind of a mess, and that's going to combine with a city of Aspen improvement in that tunnel. We didn't, and you all heard about this last fall, we didn't know when, Aspen wasn't sure when they were going to be able to program this in their capital program, because it's probably going to be $5 million
For a
by the
trail.
time, for this segment. By the time we get there.
It's pretty
So
level.
it's pretty level. That's just what construction costs. We don't know what the Jehovah's Witness organization is going to
Request.
want for the easement. But that's the estimate that they've made. So this is just a chance at a grant that's come up. So we decided to just all go for it and have a letter signed
you're not
between
gonna ask
all
about
three parties.
Competing with the bike trail up to the Arc.
Ted?
Two things, because this involves city open space, and we've had sessions on the Jehovah's Witnesses part. They were like willing to do this. We're not going at it with trying to strong arm them.
Mhm.
It's like they were kind of offering, so I don't
No,
know the
they are.
progress on that. Maroon Creek Bike Trail was $7 million for 1 mile.
I know, it's absurd.
Uphill, but it wasn't like hilly, but it's uphill, but it's still pretty level.
And the
So
retaining walls
I
are
think that
like-
is what the cost is. I didn't hear the progress on the tunnel. If you have more color on that, maybe you could share it, but
I don't have an update on the tunnel.
okay.
It's not that bad. You just walk through it.
I think
Well,
in the winter,
it had a bunch of ice, plow spoils
Plow
came
spoils is
down,
it,
ice
yeah.
catastrophe. It was really dangerous. So we have,
the plow tosses.
because there's no sun doesn't hit
Spoils.
that
Oh,
south entrance to the tunnel. So we're digging out a bunch of it and daylighting it so that it gets some heat on it during the day.
It's a suitable trail only in like the warm parts of the year, but
Yeah.
in the winter it's not. And so
Called Winter in the Rockies.
it's called Winter in the Rockies, yeah, but this was always on the plan, so I guess the city was pushing forward with it. And
Greg and I have been asking for a connection from Owl Creek to the underpass at Maroon Creek, which already has a sidewalk and an underpass, for 5 years now, Greg, at least?
Whenever it comes up, yeah.
Yeah. So if it's gonna get done in the next 5 years for $10 million by the time it gets done.
So is EOTC paying for it or Aspen?
We're asking for a grant
EOTC has
here.
funded the design.
And how much is the design, dare I ask?
It's been up almost in the 300,000 range.
for
It's a little
trails?
bit tricky. We've had to do a lot of right-of-way moving around
There's
because of
storm
how it
drains
comes
over
in
there.
there at Aspen and in front of the pomegranate condos. These things are always so much more complicated than you think they're going to be.
There's a lot of storm drains through
Yeah,
there.
Craig?
I approve it, asking for this grant. I approve that you sign the letter.
Thank you for moving it along.
yeah. I think if you think of traffic issues crossing 82 at Pomegranate and with the history there,
Yeah.
there's a reason why that's part of the impetus for connecting this.
Oh,
part of
yeah,
the
we've
trail.
been talking about this
They
for
have
a
a
long
free
time.
shuttle
And
opportunity.
we talked to
that you'll
Steve-Co
recall.
about it.
Any further open discussion or questions for Linda DePriest?
Sharing perspective.
Would you make another public service announcement, though?
So one more public service announcement. While we have everyone grilled to their Zoom, for everyone that's online that has stayed with us all afternoon, item number 6 on May 13th, which is a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners overruling the resolution of the Planning and Zoning Commission in Pitkin County, Colorado, which is in regards to the ASC AMP, Aspen Modernization Program. That tomorrow will be amended at the board table in our agenda to go from item 6 to item 14. So all other business of the board will be heard before the airport on Wednesday, May 13th. This has been a public service announcement.
Thank you, sir.
Well done, nicely done.
All right, see you guys tomorrow at
And
noon
we are
time.
adjourned. Enjoy your evening. Thank you so much.